I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's webcast. I would like to talk to you again today about the book of Enoch. In the last couple of days, we've talked about the third parable. Well, the third parable has one more really exciting bit of news that I think would be of interest to you. We talked about 2 days ago these cords that were given to the angels, these ropes, as they would call it. They look like ropes. They're long cords. I don't know how long, but I don't know just how Enoch was able to see these things. But the angel said they're going out on Resurrection Day to resurrect the saints. And these cords are the measures of the saints. And he went on to explain, if he's eaten by fish, not to worry, because these cords contain all the information to resurrect that body perfectly. So if you have a finger that was cut off and left somewhere on a South Sea island, and a leg that was left in Europe, and your torso is buried in Kansas, and no problem. These little ropes contain the measurements of the saints. Isn't that amazing? Folks, it was the 1950s when DNA was first discovered. DNA looks like ropes, looks like little long cords, and the gazillions of them make up all of the information that provides the algorithms to make your body. And for the book of Enoch, that dates back, time immemorial. Some have said, well, it dates back to the Hasmonean days. Let me ask you a question. Anybody during the days of the Hasmoneans, that is the days of the Maccabees, 200 BC, this is pre-Christian now, 200 years before the birth of Christ. Anybody back then know anything about cords or ropes? No, of course not. So to me, this lends to the authenticity of the book of Enoch. And then, of course, yesterday we talked about, following the resurrection of the saints, the judgment of the kings of the earth, how they treated the chosen people, how they treated the believers. And we found out that these kings were judged because they were wicked, that they were arrogant, that they had pride, that they believed in their own crown and their own sovereignty and their rulership over the people, and gave everybody a hard time. And so they are judged. And when they are cast into hell, as Enoch describes it, he also saw in chapter 69 other faces in that place in secret. And he asked, who are these other people I see? Well, the voice of the angel who is Enoch's guide says, these are the angels who descended from heaven upon the earth and have revealed to the children of men that which was secret, and have led astray the sons of men. This is in chapter 64 of the book of Enoch. Well, Enoch sees these fallen angels that came down in Genesis chapter 6, and the angel then continues to describe them. In chapter 69, he says, after this judgment, they will terrify and anger them because they have showed this to those who dwell on the earth. In other words, there's going to be a big fight down in hell between the kings and these fallen angels because the kings were deceived by these angels. Well, he goes on to list them. Behold the names of the angels, and these are the names. The first of them is Semyaza. Now, I'm not going to attempt to read all of these crazy names because they are maybe not all translated into English from the Coptic, from the Syriac, from the original language. We don't know. But two of them are important. The first one is Semyaza. The 10th one is Azazel. And we've talked to you about them before. Semyaza was the head of this group of 200 angels. Azazel is the one who taught men how to make instruments of war. And Azazel, of course, became the code name for the scapegoat on the Day of Atonement. Moses set this up 1,500 years BC. So now we know where the name Azazel came from, which, by the way, lends authenticity to the book of Enoch as having existed, having been around for Moses to read. All right? Then he goes on to talk about these other angels, and he comes down to this one angel in particular, whose name is Bekah. Now, there is a Bekah Valley at the foot of Mount Hermon in Lebanon. and Syria. This Baca Valley appears to be named after this particular angel. So we actually have a place name now in Lebanon and around Mount Hermon, the mountain range called Mount Hermon. We happen to have this valley that is named after this ancient book, this angel in this book. So we know the book was around for a long time. And he goes on to say that this angel named Baca came to Michael one day, that's before he fell, when he was still dwelling in glory. He said, Michael, could you show me that secret name? We'd like to know that secret name, that they may see that secret name and that they may mention this name in the oath, and they may tremble before that name and the oath, those that showed the children of men all that is secret. And this is the power of that oath. Now, we have two things here he's talking about, the secret name and the oath. Let me mention to you that the Jews believe in a secret name. This is not in the Old Testament. This is in rabbinical writings. And it goes way back thousands of years. So you see, this book of Enoch had to be around back then for those rabbis to get this idea that there is a secret name. And the name, of course, that the rabbis think it is Yahweh. Yod, He, Vav, He, translated in King James English as Jehovah. So I think, when Moses said, Lord, tell me, what is your name? And God says, I am that I am. Go tell Pharaoh, my name is I am that I am, the self-existent one. Well, we have in the opening chapters of Genesis Elohim. And then a few chapters later, we have this word Yahweh. And so theologians have said Elohim is the official name, like king or creator or God, because it's Elohim is translated capital G, little o, little d, God. But this name, Yahweh, is the personal name of God. So say the theologians. That sounds good. I don't have a disagreement with that. Yahweh, translated, of course, into English as Jehovah. Is that the secret name he's referring to here? No, it's not. That secret name that the rabbis think is Yahweh is wrong. Now, the rabbis did not understand at the time that this secret name was secret because, they didn't know about it. So they thought the secret name that Enoch is talking about here was Yahweh. So they come up with this Hashem, translation from Hebrew, the name. Ha, the, Shem, name. So instead of calling him Yahweh, because you remember God said it in the Ten Commandments, do not take my name in vain. So the Jews think, okay, I cannot pronounce the name of Yahweh because I might speak it in vain. So they came up with an alternative name. Every time they see the word Yahweh, they call it Hashem. And so blessed be the name. All right? Wherever the Old Testament uses the term Yahweh, which is translated into English as capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, which in some places, 4 places in the Old Testament, is translated Jehovah in King James English. They think that is the ineffable, unpronounceable, secret name